Okay, hey YouTube and subscribers. We're going to get started with a controversial topic. It's about feminism, MGTOW, and why most men should feel feminism as an attack on your basically manhood. I'll prerequisite that I'm a male to female transgender. Recently came out, but this is something that I felt my whole life, something I've been talking about, studying, reading books on, seeing in my own personal life, because I've been married a few times. I'll basically do the 101 thing in this first video. This will be a video compilation basically of a bunch of different videos talking about this. This will basically just be the ground of it. The biggest problem that I have with feminism is the fact that most feminists, all of them in fact, don't understand what feminism is, and they come from a standpoint of thinking that feminism is about making things equal. You know, they want equal rights, equal pay, equal. They always talk about being equal. The problem with that is that's not the agenda of feminism. They feel basically what feminists want is what they think you have. They think men have a certain form, a certain place in society, and what they want to do is take that place. And they want to put men where they are. That's their agenda. That's the feminist agenda. The problem is they've already succeeded. The agenda has already happened. It's very hard for men in any facet to be able to feel manly, to do manly things. It's why a lot of men tend to play video games, want to hunt and fish. It's the only places where a man can still feel like a man and not be ridiculed for it. Women love to make men feel worse than they really are. But where this all started at was in the 50s. The Rothschilds, the owners of the world banking industry, they figured out that most of the children were being raised, and at this time we had a culture of the family was about the family and not so much about the children. You know, it was about making a life for the family, and then the children would learn how to be raised from the family and the family dynamic. And what they figured from this is, at the time they were taking illegal taxes, which was brought about in 1914 and 1913 when they brought the Federal Reserve and then started to have people pay the illegal income tax, which they have in the United States. And what the banks figured out after about 40 years of having people pay illegal income tax was that 50% of the population wasn't being taxed. That 50% was stay-at-home moms. Moms weren't working, you know. So what they figured out was, it took them about 15 years or so, and they went through the whole 1960s, and women started to, you know, burn their bras and, you know, all this stuff. So Rick Rothschild, friends with Arron Russo, I'll put the link in the description below, where he talks about his friend Rick Rothschild, said that they actually paid. They paid and supported the feminist movement in the 70s. And the reason why is they wanted women to stop wanting to raise their own children. They wanted to put the care of the children into the state so that you no longer had much say in what went with your children, you know. And that slowly ate away at the family dynamic till now we have this thing where you can't spank your kids because they'll be taken away. You can't do anything. Most of the time nowadays, you get up in the morning, you get ready for work, you bring your kids, you know, you wake your kids up, you give them some breakfast, you take them to school, You go to work after school, you take your kids to soccer practice. You know, you might see your kids for 45 minutes to an hour in the morning, and you might be lucky if you get to see them for 2.5 hours at night. The rest of the time they're in the care of the state. And that's basically what they want. It used to be in the 50s and early 60s that you would go to school and your mother would take you to school or your father would take you to school, and then you would come home and your mother or your father would help you with homework, and you would spend all your time, you know, like that. And your family had a great deal to do with how you were raised. And that's been slowly eroded away. And feminism is at the top of the pile. But most feminists don't understand what it's about. And basically what it's about now, it's changed, it's morphed into something else. And it's really sad to see that what's happened now is it's came to a point where feminists try to act like they want equality, but everything they preach is from a standpoint of them being a victim. Everything they say, everything they complain about is victimhood. They're saying, you can't say this to me, you can't do this to me, you can't do that to me. And the reason why is because the statement that they make is about victim. They're a victim. Because you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do this, you're a victim. You know, everything is a victim mentality, and it's very sad. But basically, like I say, where it started from was the Rothschilds. They wanted people, they wanted the women of the society to start having to work, which is why now they've got it to the point where if you have a marriage, if you're married to a woman and you're a man that makes $30,000 a year, you can't afford to live. That won't pay for you and 2 kids. You have to have your wife work. And by doing that, by having her make around $20,000 or $25,000 and you making $30,000, that's just enough money for you to live. And that's how they have you nowadays, you know. And that's something that they were working on. And that's the thing with these big families, these people that own these major banks and have owned them for 200 years. That's the thing, is they don't care how long it takes. They just want to kind of whittle away at it. They're not like normal people like us, where, you know, if I want a car, I want to get it tomorrow. They'll just wait, and they'll wait, and they'll erode things, and then when they get caught, they'll stop, and they'll just wait for people to forget, and then they'll continue to erode and erode and erode. And the like I always say in most of my videos, the old saying, the people who think they aren't slaves are the ones that are the most enslaved. And this is these women. They don't realize you're actually ruining your life basically. By being a feminist, you're ruining the possibility of finding a real man, because it's so hard nowadays. It's to find a manly man, to find a guy that is a man. They've basically lost touch of this. They used to be able to learn what it was to be a woman from their mother, and what it was like to be a wife and take care of your children from the mother, and then from their father they would learn how to play ball in the yard, and they would learn what it means to be a man. They don't have this anymore. And men are told by feminists that everything that you're doing, basically everything, doesn't matter what it is, everything you're doing is wrong. And everything you're doing is subjugating women. And they have this patriarchy that they always talk about, you know? And the whole concept of this is basically setting them up as victims. And the farthest away from a victim is a woman. Ask any man who's been married. I've been married myself quite a few times. And I never felt like the woman was the victim in the relationship. Any man who's married for longer than about a year or 2 will tell you right away, you don't get to have sex unless the woman says, you don't get to buy anything unless the woman says. Basically, you're a slave. You know, you're basically what everybody says, you're pussy whooped, you know, and she only gives it to you when she feels like it, you know. You don't get to have sex unless she wants to. You don't get to buy anything unless she wants to. And then we have the age-old story that I've had several friends talk to me about. You know, you have a father that had a car that his father gave to him, left him in the will or something, and so your grandfather's car you have, and your father got it when you were 10 or 12, somewhere around there. So you and your dad worked together on this car, and you fixed it, made it look really cool, you know, repainted it, did all kinds of really cool work to it, and your first car was that car. You had that car. From the time that you were 12 years old, you had that car. Now, you go to college, you meet a woman, still got that car. That was your grandfather's car that you and your father worked on. While you're in college, things go wrong and your father dies. He gets cancer or something and dies. And that car is, you know, I don't even think I should have to say what that car would mean to you if that was the case, you know. Now you find a woman, you know, in college, and maybe it's a year or two later, you know, you're about ready to graduate. You meet some woman, end up getting married, and then after about a year or so, she gets pregnant. What's the first thing you think she's going to say? Even though you might have told her the story of what this car means to you. What do you think is the first thing she's going to say? You got to fucking sell that car. We need a minivan. How many times have you heard that? You know, this is the thing that a lot of feminists love to do. They're very manipulative. And what they like to do is they do the same thing as the military does with you. They build you up to tear you down. They love to do this. They'll give you 2 compliments and then they'll tear you down, you know. And that's why also they love to fight. When you're having a discussion or you're fighting about something in a relationship with a woman, they never fight or discuss what's going on in the now, in the present. They'll bring up something from years ago because they don't want to keep it logical. You know, the conversation can never stay logical because if it stays logical, they lose. So they have to mislead. They have to maneuver around and get you to not understand what they're talking about. And by doing that, they can fight against you. As soon as you bring them back to logic, they lose. So their whole concept is trying to play a shell game, you know, like the cups with the ball in it. You know, they keep moving it around to where you don't know what's going on, and that's their little game, you know. And they're eroding the society now. Now we have this movement called MGTOW, you know, where men are going their own way. And the reason why is because they would rather not have a woman at all, not have children even, than to deal with this, stripping of their manhood, the non-validation of them as human beings on the planet. The concept of everything they're doing is wrong, and that they should feel bad for existing in this society, you know. I told somebody that wrote on my video not too long ago, there's actually a SoftBank, which I'll put it in the link below. There's a SoftBank commercial. They've got many of them with this couple that came out in like 2006 in Japan, and in this they have a really like forceful wife, a really bossy and forceful daughter, both Japanese women, very pretty Japanese women, but the brother is a black man, and the father is a white Shiba Inu dog. And they're saying basically there's a lot of underlying kind of I don't know what you want to say, like nepotism or stuff going on there, but basically what they're trying to say is underneath that is women are just women. They're just nice, you know, kind, very assertive. They know what they want in life. They're strong, And the husband is just like a dog, just a dog, you know. Every time he wants to do something, he has to be, led around on a leash, he's just a dog. And the brother in Japan, blacks are not worse than America, but my wife that I had met in America in college, I married her in America when she wasn't, right after she got to America, basically. She came to America in September, I believe, and started going to college in spring semester. And I met her in October, and by the end of October, she was already pregnant. And we went to see my parents in Thanksgiving of that year, which was 1998. And by July the next year, we had our first son. And when we decided to move back to Japan in 2000, her parents told her, because they'd never met me, and I don't think she even sent any pictures of me, so they didn't even know what I looked like. They told her that if I was black, that she shouldn't come back. Don't even come home. That's what they told her. And this is basically the concept in Japan. So you can see what it would mean to have a black brother when your mother and your father are a Japanese woman and a dog. But you have a perfectly fine daughter, but a black brother, So it's even going on here in Japan. It's starting to gain a foothold here as well. And I'll put another link in the description below as well about a study that just came out on my YouTube, on my Yahoo account, where they're talking about a new problem that we're having here in Japan. A lot of people know that we're having a problem with children here in Japan. Like lots of the schools are closing down. There's schools all over Japan that are closing down because we're getting an older population and children aren't being born. But we also have another problem that has just arose that they're finding out about. That's that we have a surplus of 40-year-old virgins in Japan. There's all these men that have never even dated, and they're still virgins, and they're 40. And it's because of the culture that we got going on right now. The women, it's going to be kind of funny because I don't think that any of this that I'm saying isn't going to change anything, and feminists will come on this page and rail at me, and I don't really care either way, because if you put a bad comment on my page, it just gets me views, but it also all I have to do is read a couple lines in, and once I realize what you're doing, I just block and delete. Simple as that. It's really easy. It doesn't bother me. I've had a bad enough life where views and comments on a damn page isn't going to bother me a bit. So go ahead and leave all your comments and your criticisms below. I welcome it, So yeah, this is just the first installment, and what will be a very in-depth overview, and then we'll go into a much deeper access of what's really going on and everything. But this is just a basic to kind of get you an idea of what's really going on. And like I say, I'll leave everything in the description below so that you can check what I'm talking about and see that what I'm talking about is real and true. So thanks for watching. If you like this video, share, comment, like, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.